'Twas the night afore Christmas, down here in Newfoundland, and there was ice and big snowdrifts a-plenty on hand. With the kids all a-sleepin' upstairs in the loft, and Mother in the kitchen cooking up a big scarf. Then I was cutting some splits for the stove, and Mother was baking some bread, just 4 loaves, with peas pudding and cabbage, some spuds and corned beef. Just thinking about it, sure 'twill be a fine feast. Then down by the wharf there arose some big clatter. I thought that George Murphy fell half the flake ladder. I runs to the door like the clap of a bell, caught me toe in the rug and be jumpin's I fell. As I got in the garden and out on the bay, by the cat got me tongue I had nothing to say. I thought to myself, Screech is all right, but a little too much will muck up your sight. As me eyes came accustomed to the wind and the snow, is this what 'tis like when your mind starts to go? I thought for the minute that me noggin come loose, but there was a punt pulled by 8 hardy moose, and a fat little skipper with a oar in his hand. He was sculling the punt from the ice to the land. There up through the garden the punt she fair came, and I heard the red skipper call each moose by name. Now move along, Brian and John and Bill, get up there, Mulrooney, to the top of the hill. And then they hollered to the ones in the front, now Jerry and Neil, keep pulling this punt. To the top of the shed, and then on to the roofs. You could tell they was up there by the sound of the oos. Then over the loft there rose such a clatter, and I thought what might happen if them moose was much fatter. I was feared for a second the shingles might peel from the scraping and scratching of the big punt's keel. Then down through the chimney the old skipper he came, and of course it was Santa, to use his right name. Then out in the front room a black cloud arose. The soot looked like spume from a whale when she blows. He stood for a minute to size up the place, with black soot and hashes all over his face. I thought to myself, as I gawked at the man, what fine sealskin muttons he had on his hands, and glossy new gum boots to cover his feet. I couldn't imagine how he kept 'em so neat. He had a sou'wester whose color was red, and this he had perched on the back of his head, with them fine red oilskins like I never saw afore, that fitted too tight and reached down to the floor. His face it was worn and weathered and wrinkled, but his eyes, sparkled blue eyes, still held to their twinkle. And now when I looked, I saw not but his back, as he wrestled and juggled the gifts in his sack. Then to the mantel, as he lifted the socks, apples and oranges and small toys in a box. He topped off each one for the girls and the boys, with a small bag of bullseyes and small wooden toys. He looked so happy and jolly and fine, as he took a great gulp of dogberry wine. He tasted the fruit cake and then figgy duff. Then he spoke to himself, "This sure is fine stuff." He tied up the sack with a big granny knot, then rested his hands on the top of his pot. Now to the chimney he went with a dash, as his eyes crossed the room with a flicker and flash. Now sure I must say that he cut a fine figure. As he slipped up the chimney, like a bright squid jigger. He walked across the roof, back to the front, and I feared he might slip as he got into punt. The house gave a shake from the roof to the floor as Santa took charge of the big skull and oar. Then down through the garden and on to the bay, midst the clamour of oofs I heard him say, "'Tis another year gone, God bless ye and yours. May he grant you fair winds as you bend at the oars. A merry, a very merry Christmas to all yous."